Hi guys, you can't really see me, but I'm actually waving at the screen. Hi, here's me at the bottom right. It's Janelle with the Compassionate Heart School. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this video. For this video, I'm really going to do my best to keep it as short as possible. You will appreciate the minimal use of slides, okay? But today's topic is going to be about the moon. In particular, what does it mean when all of these people online and all of these readers and healers talk about manifesting with the moon? What on earth do they mean? Do you like that little wordplay? Thank you. um, Now, why? Why am I making this little video? The reason why is because, look, I'm going to be honest with you. In this day and age, you cannot just be walking through life like you don't know what's happening energetically because you're just going to keep getting hit by waves and waves and waves. So, to be honest, I'm just making this video to help people who, they hear these things, but they don't really know what it means and they don't really know how to harness that information in order to actually help them to make better choices. It's plain and simple. The moon is a very, very, very energetic body. It controls a lot of things on the earth in general, but it really, really affects us in big ways. Okay. So, one of the ways that we could actually harness the energy of the moon is to learn to work with it, to be in alignment with it. And so, for today, in this video, all I'm going to do is very, very briefly, I'm talking energy 101 here for the moon. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the stages of the moon and what they each represent, and then give you ideas on how you can actually work with that. Okay. So, ideally, you can put this into practice the next time we have the new moon come around. And actually, today is November 3rd, 2021. November 4th, tomorrow, is going to be the new moon in Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. So, yeah, let's get started. I'm excited. Why am I excited? All right. So, first of all, I'm coming from this from a nice little astrological angle here. Why am I saying astrological? Yeah, okay, astrological. Yeah. I'm not coming from this from an astronomical place. You can find that stuff online, go check it out. But for the most part, in terms of astronomy, we're going to look, the 8 stages: the new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous. Then we've got this beautiful full moon here. Then we have what we call the waning gibbous or the disseminating moon. We have the last quarter or 3/4 moon. And then we have the waning crescent or balsamic moon, after which, boink, we come right back around to the new moon. So, to be honest, guys, look, we love the moon. And we strive as human beings to understand it. So, the first thing that you want to do is look at these 8 stages in terms of a cycle. So, look, we've got the new moon here. And when you look at the new moon in the sky, you typically can't really see it because it's when it's darkened. That's that moment when the moon is facing the earth, but we can't really see it because it's blocked, right? Down here, we have the full moon, and that's the time when all the werewolves are oohing and, people are going crazy and all sorts of things are happening. And at this point, it's to our eyes fully illuminated. So think about it this way: when the new moon starts, it's dark, and when we have the full moon, it's fully illuminated. The rest of these moon cycles are just, different stages along that illumination and then lack thereof. So when we think about that beautiful, that space of time between the new moon and the full moon, we're thinking about the waxing phase. And when we talk about the waxing phase, we're talking about when basically the moon, from what we could see, is starting to grow in terms of illumination. So we have the waxing crescent moon, and obviously you can tell why it's called a crescent because look, it's cute like a little croissant. Let's put it that way. So here we have from the new moon, we've got a little sliver of illumination starting to occur. After that, it starts to wax some more, it starts to grow. And then at the first quarter moon, we've got pretty much what looks to our eyes to be a half moon, right? But let's not call it a half moon because it's actually a first quarter moon. But after that, that's when we see this illuminated part of the moon start to take over. And we would call that the waxing gibbous moon. afterward, then we start to see the entire side of the moon. To us, it looks completely illuminated, but really that's kind of the half moon, the half side of the moon being illuminated. After that, we have what we would call the waning phase. The waning phase, as you can guess, is the opposite of the waxing phase. And that's when the illumination begins to wane on the face of the moon that we can see. And so we have the waning gibbous moon, where we literally have a nice little crescent here of shadow. And then we've got the last quarter or 3/4 moon, where it appears to us to be half illuminated, right? And then we have finally the waning crescent or balsamic moon, where we have another little sliver. But notice most of it is dark to our eyes. And so once again, about a month later, we will come right back around to the new moon. So when I say a month later, I mean basically a month from the new moon. So this entire cycle takes about a month, and we know that. All right. So now that we've taken a look at basically the 8 stages of the moon, noting when it is completely new and when it's full, and then the in-between stages where we're just marking the illumination of the moon, now it's time to kind of put it into perspective in terms of manifestation. What does this have to do with manifestation at all? Well, to be honest, it's all about energy. It's all about energy. So let's take a look at the new moon. Whenever a new moon is in the sky, much like tomorrow, it's going to be the new moon in Scorpio. That means that we have a moon that we can start to work with, but it's going to be influenced by the energies of Scorpio. It's a scorpionic moon, and that's a discussion for another time. But if you wanted to follow up with that, you can quickly Google online how the Scorpio energy or how any other signs affect the moon, right? But in general, whenever we're talking about manifestation, when we have a new moon roll around, it's all about setting intentions. Why? Because it's a new time. It's time to start dreaming. It's time to visualize. It's time to get it out there. You're having that Lieutenant Dan moment on the boat with God, with spirit, with the universe, with your higher self, with whomever you're having that discussion with, where you're saying, I want this, I need that. Of course, we're going to use our words in a positive way. So technically, if you're being picky, you're not going to use the word want, because using the word want implies lack. Remember, the present moment is the only moment in all of time that actually exists. How ironic, because there's no such thing as time. On earth there is, right? But the present moment is all there is. And this present moment, and this present moment, and this present moment, and this present moment. And so therefore you see there is no past and there is no future, except for the ideas that you create about those spaces. And so why you need to watch your words is because when you say a word like want, thinking about your future, you're actually not really saying anything to the universe that it could use, except I lack in this present moment. So therefore, when you're in the new moon phase, or just any time in life, generally speaking, you always want to make sure that you're setting your intentions and staying in the present with what you say. I am, I have, right? So you set your intention around the new moon. You pump all of your hope into it. Like, I hope this happens and this is that. And I'm excited. There's excitement. And you make sure that you release your doubts, because at this point, all you're doing is shooting for the moon, pun intended. You're just shooting for the moon. You're just saying everything that you desire in your beautiful little heart. And you're planting that seed. And you are going to make sure that you don't sully that moment with any negative intentions, no naysayers, no nothing. Just throw caution to the wind, do it all, okay? Now, once that new moon phase turns into the waxing crescent phase, boop, what happens is that this is the time when, yes, we start to get some illumination upon the moon. It's also the time when you start to become aware of, well, the challenges. Okay, I put it out there that I enjoy having a new car and I'm shooting for the moon on that. I don't know where the money's coming from. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And that's not my concern. But in the waxing crescent phase, that's when you start having these ideas. You start wanting to look at your bank account. You start listening to your cousin who doesn't believe you could do it, and all sorts of stuff. So this is the time when your intentions that you've set starts to come into contact with challenges, right? So the main thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you stay strong, stay invested in the vision, reduce any perception of suffering. Why would I say that? Well, simply because at this time, that's when, again, you're going to be like, oh, but I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the intelligence, all of that you need to stop with, because that is a slippery slope that then you start getting into, well, I'm suffering because I'll never, and we're just not here for that. That's down the hall to the left out the building. Because right now we're thinking about manifestation. And we know that anytime we are manifesting, we are not, say it with me, we are not working in the physical. The physical world is just literally a physical manifestation of a past, present moment. It's like, think about the tracks and the train. What comes first, the train or the tracks? Well, the tracks are laid first and then the train comes. So you really want to make sure that you're laying the tracks properly in your present moment, okay? So anyway, during the waxing crescent phase, you're going to become, let's say, aware of the challenges that may come when your intentions are basically trying to touch base in the physical world. So it's your job to stay positive. It's your job to watch what you're doing, what you're saying, who you're surrounding yourself with. And you've really got to be tenacious during this period. Okay. We're talking words like stamina, tenacity, persistence. Thanks, guys. They're like persistence. These are the words that you need to get through the waxing crescent phase with. All right. So after that, the moon is going to become more illuminated and go into the first quarter. You can think of this also as the waxing first quarter. Remember, this is a time when things are waxing. The illumination is growing. The challenges may be growing, right? You have to rise to the occasion. So during the first quarter moon phase, what you need to do is allow, see those all caps word, allow for the growth process. This means working on that belief. Tweak that belief. Do not give in to negative thoughts. And the beautiful thing about it is that the little cute little seedlings, the intentions that you set during the new moon phase, they're now starting to kind of, peek their early head in. They're starting to sprout just a tiny bit. You think you can just see a little bit of greenery. You're not sure, but you're seeing some stuff. In the physical world, what would this look like? Let's say during the new moon, you are putting it out there that you are ready for a new car. You deserve a new car. You don't care where it comes from. You don't care how the money comes. Of course, you want it to be in the light, but it's not your business. You put it out there in spirit, and your guides are helping you do it. During the waxing crescent phase, these thoughts start to come into your mind about, oh, but do I have the money? Oh, where am I going to store my car? And you are staying strong and you're pushing it out of your mind. You're staying invested in your one job. And your one job is to have the vision for the car. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to actually tell you, you're going to visualize with emotion. The universe responds to emotion. So when you're visualizing this car, you have to feel it. You've got to see it. You've got to enjoy it. You've got to get happy to the point where your body is even tricked into believing you've got this car. All right. So during the first quarter, what's going to happen is for example, you're going to start seeing signs of this car. All of a sudden, you're seeing this car that you want on the freeway. Other people are driving it. All of a sudden, you overhear a conversation between two coworkers about a car that one of their cousins got or something like that. And you start to realize, these are the seedlings. These are the mini manifestations that are starting to come in. And the beautiful thing about that is it really helps for those of us who need to start seeing, because remember, with manifestation in general, you cannot see first and then believe. It does not work that way. You must believe first and then you see, because always remember, what happens in the physical must come after non-physical. And we see this principle in healing. A lot of people get stuck in the physical body. By the time something hits the physical body, my dear, it's already been in a non-physical body. Okay. That's why healers are very important. Shout out. Okay. So anyway, it's the same here. So when you start to hear and see these little pieces and manifestations about whatever it is that you have put out there, that makes it so much easier for us to keep going. We get excited, we keep wanting to pump into it. So that's why they say allow for the growth process. But they're also saying allow for the growth process because sometimes people have, and this is understandable, I get it, they have fear of success. They've got conditioning that they need to work through. This is when the shadows are going to start coming up. You know, you're starting to see little things about cars, but all of a sudden the voice of your father, who's a penny pincher, starts coming in. All of a sudden you start having this lack of deservability that you grew up with when you were, you know, and these are the things that you want to keep an eye out for. And those are some of the things that would have been showing themselves in the waxing crescent phase as well. Okay. So after the first quarter, then you come into what we would call the waxing gibbous phase. And that's when most of the moon is now illuminated, right? And so it's really exciting because more of this manifestation is pouring in. So you're literally seeing evidence. You're seeing so much evidence of what's going on that now you're starting to like be able to get a little bit of feedback and then be able to kind of say, okay, I don't want that. All right. I see that this guy, this used car salesman I used to date, is now coming in talking to me about a new shipment of cars. And, you know, I get it. Thank you, universe. I love that the stream is coming in for me, but I don't necessarily want it to come through this person because this is not the person that I would like to get into anything with again. So now you're going to tweak what's going on. So you tweak your belief. I'm ready for my new car to come through comfortable, easy, and fulfilling modes. So that in and of itself is the universe saying, okay, so you don't want it through that person. You want it through a channel where you feel safe, for example. And you're like, yes, that's what I meant. I didn't know that that's what I needed back when I said it for the new moon. But now, actually, after going through those last two waxing phases, I realized I've got some conditioning and I've got some past life stuff and I've got some fears that are coming up. And I see that they're bringing in this guy I used to date who's literally a used car salesman. So I'm going to tweak what's going on inside. And I'd like you to answer that for me, universe. And that's why the waxing gibbous phase is wonderful, because we're starting to really get what it is that we want, but we can, tweak it for a little bit and we can analyze it. But the beautiful thing about it is that because the evidence is so strong, now your belief is really strong. A great example of that car manifestation rolling in would be something like a friend of yours just bought a new car too, or it's just starting to become more real to you, or like now you're starting to get mail weirdly in your box about cars and about deals, and somebody may actually be giving you a ride home, and all of a sudden, they're like, I just need to stop off at my house first before I take you. And as you stop off, right there in an adjacent driveway, you see someone selling their car, not the car you want, but you're like, okay, here we go. So the excitement. All right. So far, what we've been looking at, just to give you a little bit of a summing up of this pre-full moon stage, is the new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, and waxing gibbous. Basically, in the new moon, you set your intentions and you nurture it. In the waxing crescent and the first quarter, you allow for the process to continue. You maintain your stamina. You invest in your vision in the midst of any challenges, which could come from outside or from the inside that come up. And in the waxing gibbous phase, you finally get to a chance to look at what has been manifesting for you, and you get a chance to tweak it and put that back out to the universe. I do want to let you know that when you're dealing with energy, guys, again, abundance is always flowing. The only thing that stops it is ourselves. So during all of this time, you're going to want to keep an eye out for how you are stopping your own manifestations. And that's what I meant by looking at your conditioning from childhood, looking at where you're limiting yourself, self-worth issues, deservability, all of that stuff. All right. Okay, let's go into the full moon. So, oh, finally, here we are. Boop. When the full moon comes around, think about it as being this, yes, this, it is full. You're getting full on crops at this time. Your crops are flowing. You've got people coming in. They're like, hey man, I see your tomatoes. Like, wow, people are admiring you. They're asking you questions. They're on board. You know what? This is a really great time to be able to sit back and just enjoy what you have started, what you've grown. So this is the moment when you're in the dealership. This is the moment when you're getting financing for your car. Or this is the moment when someone is like, hey, I got this car around the way. Hey, want to buy a car? Okay, that last one, just say no, especially if you are near an alley and this person is wearing a trench coat. All right. But you get the point. Now it's really manifesting. You may even have gotten the car already. Whatever's happening, people are taking note. You're taking note. But the beautiful thing about the full moon is, remember, this is coming after you have made your tweaks. This is also the time when you could weed out the naysayers, because guess what? You're really allowing in success right now. And so, this is you getting into the law school, and then your significant other is like, I don't think you should do this anymore, and bye-bye. All right, this is the time where you're weeding anything that is not in alignment with what is manifesting. This is also the time, the guides are saying, get it, guides, this is also the time when you have people who were not there coming with their little bowls out, trying to get their share of what. Look, listen, yeah. If the guides are pointing it out, then maybe you need to bypass some of these people. So start watching in that sense. In a nutshell, during the full moon, you have full on harvest. You've got full on support from a lot of people, and you are in a position now to really look at the energies and think, what energies would I like to move forward with now that my stuff is manifesting? And what energies would I like to release at this time? Now, be mindful that sometimes spirit wants you to release a person or people. And this is where a lot of people slip up in general in life, because they want to hold on to the person. But as I always like to tell people, spirit actually, for us down here, we hear, let that man go, let that woman go, let that job go. But what they're actually saying is, let go of this energy pattern. They're holding the energy in their hands. They're like, let go of this. And unfortunately, the truth is we want to let go of the pattern too, but unfortunately, we don't want to let go of the manifestations that have been built upon that pattern, right? So once you change the habit, you change the pattern, unfortunately, or fortunately, people, places, things, and situations that no longer align with the new patterns and habits that or templates, if you will, that you have put in place, they're going to fall away. And we slip up because we don't want to let go of those manifestations. We don't want to let go of the significant other, for example, but they are not healthy for us anymore. Okay. Anyway, so let's move on to the next stage, the waning gibbous moon, or the disseminating moon. If you'll notice, take a cute look at it. This is when the illumination is starting to decrease. And that's why we call this phase following the full moon the waning phase. But during the waning gibbous phase, this is a disseminating moon, as they like to call it. So basically, at this point, it's about information. It's about sharing. It's about collaboration. It's about interpersonal relationships. It's about that discussion. Your manifestations have already borne their fruit. The fruit is there. You're eating the fruit off the tree. You're in the car. You're doing whatever it is that you have asked for. It has already bloomed for you. And you are now able to gather information and feedback from it. What are other people saying about it? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about this thing? Maybe you didn't even like this thing after all. You got it and you're like, meh, you know, you're sharing the results with others, you're collaborating with them. That's why they call it disseminating, because it's about connecting, really. And if you think about it, yes, you can, using the old agricultural analogy here, of course, you can grow a farm, but like, you can't eat all of that food. You can't eat all of those crops in one, like before they go bad. You have to share it. And this is a beautiful thing about humanity, because as we manifest, we can share with each other. And as a collective, we grow. And we've already weeded things out during the full moon. And anyway, during the disseminating moon, we can get to share and move forward in a smarter way. Now, moving into the last quarter or three-quarter phase of the moon, that's when all of your manifestations have already been harvested. You've seen the flaws in the foundation that you created and the structures you've built and the things you've called in and manifested. And now, because you have done that and you've done your analysis, well, you're smarter now. And you're less afraid now. Why? Because a lot of times we're afraid of what we don't know. But we've gone through this cycle. We've gone through a lot. We've gathered so much information that, well, we feel a little bit more, knowledgeable. But remember, this is also a time when we could also feel challenged. Crisis is also possible at this time. Why? Why, Janelle? Well, simply stated, it's because structures that are erected are made to be broken down again so that they can be rebuilt, right? So just like trees, they bear their fruit, they bear their things, and then they go through their own phase of destruction before they come back into blooming again, right? And so this is what we can think about here. It's a seasonal thing that's happening. And so, of course, we have tower moments. We have quote unquote crisis is possible. Why? So that it can, be made new again. Maybe you're thinking slash and burn. I don't know. You will leave this up to spirit. But either way, whatever happens, you are much better of a position than you were during the new moon, when fears were just probably rampant. You're like, shooting for the moon, you don't know what's up. And yeah, so this time you know what's up with a lot of things and you come armed with information. All right. Now, the last phase that we have before we hit the new moon is what we would call the waning crescent moon or the balsamic moon. And that's when the moon is starting to wind down, it's starting to go to bed again. Well, not really go to bed again, but like I just think about the moon like good night moon because look at this little sliver of light that's left. It's going back into its newness, little baby. This is a time when you're like, all right, well, that season of harvest was great. I got a lot of stuff out of it. I learned, I connected with people. I know what I don't want and I know who I don't want. Okay. All those people were weeded out. And I also learned a whole bunch of things because when I weeded people, places, things, and situations out that no longer aligned with what I told the universe I wanted, I was able to make room for more. And now, rubs hands, not evilly, I'm excited about what I can put into action for the next cycle, for the next month. Because remember, these moon cycles are a month, right? So this is when you start to be able to plan for a whole new set of intentions, or it could be along the lines of the same intentions you set, but just smarter this time. Whatever it is, you know now what it is that you want to do. You can continue to release the old, any straggling naysayers. This is a time when I guess you can think about, yeah, I don't know. Would you say hibernating? I don't know if I'd go so far, but the point is there's got to be a time where you pull back and you can be a little lonely. You can feel a little isolated at times, but it's a magical time. Think about cute little mole, like burrowing back to where he is during the off season, I don't know, winter, whatever. And he's put his blueprints out and he's like, I'll show them next time I get out there, I'm building bigger and better and with everything I've learned, right? So yeah, so that's that. these 8 stages, well, let me just summarize really quickly the last 4 stages, because we did a little bit of summarizing after we covered the first 4. So the last 4 stages that we looked at pretty much consisted of the full moon, when your manifestations are coming, they're bright, everything's going great. And then we looked at the last few, which is about the waning phase, where the manifestations are starting or have been harvested. Information is flowing. You're sharing with people. You're understanding. You're gaining wisdom. And then getting ready to just start the whole new cycle over again. But if you've done your job well, then you're starting it smarter. Okay. So when we think about looking at the 8 stages of the moon, of course, we can look at it in terms of manifestation and how to work with the energies. And now we know what is really going on in a very basic way, basically. During these 8 stages, we can align ourselves with that. But remember that the moon is not only for manifestation. If you look at this macroscopically, you can look at this as just a cycle of awareness. It's a cycle of getting in tune with your emotions, understanding what it is that you want out of life, what efforts you're putting in, being able to track the energies. When are they flowing in? And to do that, you really have to get in touch with yourself. Okay. So if you really work with the moon, I can't imagine someone working with the moon and not benefiting by learning to work with themselves, because we are emotional beings, human beings, us Terrans here on Earth. While we're here on Terra, we are emotional beings, and that is one of the hallmarks of humans. And so it behooves us to really get in touch with what energies are flowing within, what emotions are flowing within. And what better way than to work with the moon? So basically, in sum, we have looked at beautiful stages of the moon. Let's do a quick recap. We found out that, oh my God, the new moon, well, here we are. It's a new moon. I can make new choices and set intentions. You go ahead, you set intentions during the waxing crescent moon that comes for the next few days, like 2 to 3 days. Basically, all you're doing is you are pushing forward with your tenacity. You are not taking no from yourself, from anybody. Same with the first quarter moon, right? And the waxing gibbous moon. Because remember, the waxing phase is about helping yourself and your intentions to grow and doing everything within your power to maintain that sense of stamina and that sense of investment in what it is that you'd like to see happen, while curbing any negative thoughts, naysaying, things like that. So mantras would be really, really good for you during this time. Affirmations would be really good for you at this time. Surrounding yourself with positive people would be really good for you at this time. Not listening to yourself would be really good for you at this time. Leaving post-its for yourself would be really good for you at this time. You get the whole point that I'm trying to say. Okay? Then, boink, you come right into the full moon. The full moon is halfway through this entire cycle, and it's beautiful. We have it pictured right here. It's filled, it's illuminated, fully illuminated. And this is the time when you're harvesting. But it's also a time where you get to, under this full moon illumination, you get to see who's for you and who's not, what's for you and what's not, when is for you and when's not, all of these things. So you get to weed out. And then you enter into the waning phase, when the illumination starts to go back down again until it gets into the new moon phase again. This waning phase is really important because it gives you a time to really mull over what you've learned during this cycle. What you've learned about people, what you've learned about things, what you've learned about your ability to dream and to make effort and to harvest and to share, and also what you've learned about yourself in general, especially with your emotions. And guess what? If you feel that you didn't really do a good job staying invested in watching your words and all of that, hey, you can do it all over again next month. Now, the last thing that I'd like to talk about really quickly is what we'd call a void of course moon. So a void of course moon is one of those just weird, unaccounted for energetic times that could last literally just 2 hours in one day, all the way up to 24 hours, and all the way up to a day, better part of a day, right? Whenever you have a void of course moon, what happens is that the energy gets super wonky. It's weird. Um, it's unclear. There are delays that happen. It's like things are all over the place. There's a lot of uncertainty. You thought you had clarity of thought, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? It's messy, right? And so basically, if you follow the moon, you should note when the void of course moon is occurring, and you just clock those hours right there, and you think, I'm taking a break. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm not focusing on my investments, none of that. Okay. Because truth be told, I don't want any of that smoke, literally. So these are the 8 stages of the moon. We've kind of gone over how to harness them. We've looked at what they represent. And now we're going to look at how to actually manifest. But first, I'm going to take a little pause, and hopefully you don't notice it, but I'm going to pause for a second so that I can add something for us. Okay, hold on 1 second. Yay, real time. Okay, if I did that well, then you lost no time there. All right, so let's take a look at how to actually manifest. Now, you guys know you can go online and you can hear about people doing moon rituals. You can burn things, and to be honest, yeah, those are good. But to be honest, guys, maybe I'm lazy. Maybe my moon in Taurus makes me lazy. I've been told that the Taurus people are really hardworking, but for me personally, I don't tend to do any of those things. And the reason why is because I just like to keep it just unencumbered. I'm a busy woman, and so if you'd like to learn those kinds of things, then feel free to look online. There's so many wonderful teachers, so many wonderful healers who are using things like candles and water and all sorts of stuff, wonderful stuff. But for me, I'm going to actually just keep it as simple as possible and go from a place of not really needing any tools, right? So no obstacles for you guys. Some of you guys don't want to do, right? All right, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is call upon your spirit team for hugs and help. Hugs, big time hugs, okay? If you've never been woken up in the middle of the night by your angel is hugging you, then you have not lived, my dear. So please do call. All right, so this is simple. Look to your left and your right and be like, hey guys, all right, can you guys please help me to manifest, help me to learn about myself, and thanks for coming out. That's it. They got it. They knew who you were going to ask because they're sitting here with me making this video. I'm feeling your energies already. So just, it's more for your conscious mind. Okay. Next thing, you're going to watch your words. And I cannot stress this enough. Actually, my guides were like, put in watch your words. And this is something they really work with me on as well. So stop talking about what you can't do. Stop talking about what you have in your bank account. Stop talking about who did what back in the day to you. We don't care. It's not to say we don't care, but you have to draw the line somewhere, because remember, your present moment is devoid of meaning, except for the meaning that you bring. And the meaning that you bring is it has to be mind, MINED. If the meaning that you ask in this present moment, I am, whatever you put at the end of that sentence is going to be what you are. And if you see yourself as being victimized, if you see yourself as being poor, if you see yourself as being uneducated, if you see yourself as being inadequate in any way, shape, and form, guess what? You're already shooting yourself in the foot. And I'm just saying this because, well, it's true. And they told me to. So they tell me to jump. I say how high, and I put it in here, and it's the truth. Watch your words. Okay. And we all have to keep that with ourselves. I'm constantly monitoring. I've probably slipped up 10 million times in this video already, but it's the burden we bear because there's no future and there is no past. Okay. Just remember that. Next thing. Oh, there it is. Stay in the present moment. Present moment. Present moment, present. Yeah, you're thinking about the board meeting tomorrow, but why? You're in the middle of your shower. You're ruining your present moment by programming your present and your future. Okay. So with fear. So just be mindful. Okay. And some of these moons, I'm telling you, your next step will be to look at how the different constellations affect the moon, the energies of the moon, because some of these moons are very sensitive to these kinds of things. Scorpionic moon does not play. It's a great time for manifestation, but remember that Scorpio is all about the psyche, what's buried inside. It's filled with temptation. It's tantalizing. It's wonderful. It's very transformative. So don't play at this moment, for example. Okay, I'm just saying. Be receptive to the timing of spirit. The guides added this as well. This is the timing of spirit. When you put something out there, you release it to be worked on by spirit, because you're not the only person in this equation. You want to, have a certain job, you want this, you want that, but maybe the person who has the job that is designed to come to you is still in that job, still putting in changes that are going to benefit you. They're still waiting for their next job to come through. So this is why we have to allow spirit, the universe, to move, and all we need to do is focus on releasing that control over this idea of time. Stay in the present moment, stay focused, stay positive, and allow spirit to work in the timing that they feel is best for you. Take time out for yourself. Okay, you really have to find some time to reflect. And as much as you're like, but I don't have time, you have time. You have time. It's your job to look for it. Even if your time is only when you're able to use the restroom, and your dog's looking at you and you're because you let him in, or they're pawing at the door, or your baby is in the next room and you have only time to, that's your challenge. Okay, your challenge is to make the time regardless of whatever's going on in your life. And I know it's not fair sometimes, and I know this, but you need to get rid of all that, because that's victim consciousness coming into your present moment. It's, I need to do this, I'll find a time, it's 1 minute, go, 60 seconds, boom. Okay, Abraham Hicks, who I absolutely love, teaches that 17 seconds of focused thought is enough to really change that energy and get that energy going. So please, if number 5, taking time out for yourself is an issue for you, then you need to go back to number 1, call upon your spirit team for hugs and help, and ask them to really help you to work with the timing. Okay, they're your team, your equals. Okay, just so you know. Number 6, listen to the feedback that is given. Listen to the feedback that is given. This feedback is not only going to come from people around you, it's going to come from your guides. It's going to come through your dreams, come through the emotions that you feel when you do something. Your job is to listen and improve your listening. So if somebody starts coming to you and telling you how they feel about things, just listen. So whenever we're dealing with feedback, it's also a good moment to notice any defense mechanisms that come up. Defense mechanisms are understandable because they're there to protect us, but sometimes they work against us. So we need to be aware of how we are reacting in response to things that are happening in our life. Okay. A lot of times also the answers that we are seeking and that we've asked for come through the feedback. You receive the feedback and you really receive it, and it leads you to the next thought. So you really do have to make sure that you're open to receiving. Number 7 is very important. It's about visualizing with emotion. Sometimes it's really, really helpful to listen to a song that moves you. So whether it pumps you up, whether it gets you in the mood, whatever it is, you can sit and really visualize with strong emotions having what it is that you have asked for. And another tip that I want to mention, which is really good with manifestation, regardless of when you're doing it, don't ask for the person, don't ask for the job, don't ask for whatever, ask for the feeling along with it. Let's say you do want to attract a partner. Wow, I would like a partner who makes me feel this, who I feel this. So let's say I have a partner who I feel safe and secure around, who I feel seen around. When you talk in terms of having a certain feeling, that is the best way to move forward, because then spirit can actually fill that slot with the best person or the best job or the best whatever to actually give you the feelings. But if you focus only on a specific person or on a specific channel or mode or method of receiving something, that's when you start to limit yourself. Okay. And it will take time, spirit says, to hone this art of manifestation, but we're off to a good start. Keeping a journal can be helpful if that's something that you're into. You could look back on it. You can, well, I guess it's up to you. Some people doodle, and that's perfect as well. There's also something very tactile about keeping a journal. And lighting candles is great as well. You don't have to anoint them with oils. You don't have to have a certain color. You can do all of that, because when you engage in what you could consider ritual, it's kind of an act of you strengthening the energy, right? It's you putting so much energy into something that you're manifesting along with that. But if you just want to light a candle, that's fine. Just whatever you do, make sure that it comes with love. That's it. Set the intention for love. That's it. And stay invested in your intentions, but be ready to pivot, tweak, and let go. Ooh, number 10 should be number 2. Okay. It's very strong, because number 10 is talking about investing without limitations. Expectations are limitations. And I struggle with this myself. Look at me programming my present moment. We're talking about a struggle. I used to struggle with it, but no longer. Now I am open to pivoting and tweaking and letting go at will. At will. Whose will? Whose will? Right? Anyway, you get the point. These are 10 tried and true ground rules I have found. These are tried and true that will help you out. Okay. And lastly, if you're interested in having intuitive counseling with me, whether it is through readings or whether it's through live energy healing sessions via Zoom, God bless, please do feel free to reach out. You've got all my lovely information here. I do ask, though, that you do check out my Etsy page and really do read the item descriptions, because they're like little FAQs, frequently asked questions. I do ask that you read those carefully before reaching out to me via email or Instagram with questions, just to save time, God bless, all right? But if you really have a burning question and you're still unsure, then feel free to reach out and let me know what's on your mind. But anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for listening in. Today, we pretty much looked at the moon, and hopefully now you can have a better idea about what people mean when they say manifesting with the moon. Like, how could we look up and think about things like that? Now you know that the different stages of the moon carry different energy frequencies and different, I guess, possibilities, different challenges, different openings for you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Your job is to move with that energy and harness it if it's something you're interested in. Okay. Feel free to drop me a line on the videos in the comment boxes if you have questions. All right. Until then, much love and many blessings. Bye.